All right, let's get it started. We're pretty much on time here, so appreciate everyone that is turning out tonight. If you are a pharmacist that's looking to find the next stage of your career, gearing up for 2026, maybe you're feeling a little bit burnt out or at least looking to take on this next part of your career, then you are definitely in the right place. And so just starting off for who this workshop is for, first and foremost, this is really for pharmacists who feel stuck. Maybe you feel a little bit drained, or you're coming to a point where, hey, you're dreading another year in the same role. Maybe you're feeling exhausted, you've been pouring into everyone else, and you feel a little bit undervalued in return. Or maybe you've thought about leaving, but you're really unsure of what you're actually qualified for. There will probably be some people here that keep saying, I'll figure it out later, maybe kicking the can down the road further and further. And you just know you don't want to push it off another year. And then at the end of the day, you really want a clear, realistic path to find a better role in 2026. You're not just looking for more motivation at the end of the day. And so we have a lot today. Very excited to cover quite a bit. So we are going to take you through, first and foremost, why most pharmacists stay stuck and burned out. And this is really across the board, even especially for top performers. We're going to talk further about how your current experience translates into better career options. We are going to give you a simple 3-step plan to land a better role in 6 months or less. And then we're even going to cover some of the resume as well as LinkedIn shifts that are going to attract better offers. And then if you stay with us till the very end, we'll talk to you further. Pretty fun and exciting. We have a fully personalized career escape plan that we'll be getting you access to. And so just a quick snippet, really how to get the most from this. You showed up, that's half the battle. And then from here, if you want to go ahead, close down any other tabs that you might have. We do love if you participate, so feel free to use the chat. I'll be manning the chat throughout the presentation. Really don't want you to stress about taking too many notes right here and now, as we are going to provide you with tools and the replay. And then, as I just mentioned, stay to the end. We do want to get you that personalized roadmap. And so just to warm your fingers up or warm the audience up a little bit here, if you could take a moment, and the question to you is really, which best describes how you feel about your current role? So if it's A, are you feeling burnt out, need a change as soon as possible? A lot of these people are like, I want to change yesterday. You B, tired, but trying to stick it out. C, it's okay, but you're maybe open to something new. Or D, hey, you're actually mostly happy where you're currently at. So can you see the chat all right? I'm trying to see if people are pouring in. I know coming into this, a lot of people were talking about A, like burnt out, looking to transition yesterday. And then a lot of Bs as far as trying to stick it out. Yeah, so then real quick, why should you listen to us? We like to start off with this. We've been at this for quite some time. Over the last decade, we've helped over 3,000 pharmacists pivot into better roles. We've had pharmacists that move into clinical, non-clinical, remote, pharma, and just about anything you can think of pharmacy related, we've helped pharmacists make that change. We really focus on strategy and positioning, not just the shotgun of approach of just apply more. And everything we're talking about today is from real clients, real results. This is not just theory. And so I always like to point out, if you go back one, I always say, like, this is an actual snapshot of pharmacists that we've worked with. This is literally, I think it's right at 81 of our pharmacists. It's 9 by 9, but we've had the opportunity to work with so many pharmacists. But this is real people, real faces from who we've helped throughout the years. And then your speakers, you might be able to see us in the sidebar, but if not, tonight with us, we have Diane Schultz, we have Kurt Hines, and we have myself. And so diving into it real fast. So yes, I've been at this I just updated it this morning. I put it at 15 years. We have someone that likes to write on
Looks
the
like
screen.
Jennifer doesn't like you very much. Somehow
We'll,
she's able to write on here. So, okay.
we'll look to remove that, but no worries. Yes, been at this for about 15 years. In fact, just updated that, and then I'll get to update that here in a couple weeks. But really done coaching, mentoring, recruiting, everything pharmacy related. And then the one claim to fame, there we go. The one claim to fame that I have is that started a large group back in 2010. It's grown year after year, and it's currently 75,000 plus members for pharmacists. And then Kurt Hines, he is the founder and CEO here at Pharmacy Career Coach. Over 15 years ago, he started one of the nation's largest staffing agencies that was all pharmacy specific. And the biggest thing with Kurt is he's always innovating, always finding new ways to help pharmacists get hired, staying cutting edge. I'm excited for you to hear from him, but at the end of the day, he's really building the team, getting more and more hands-on as things change and things shift. He's always there to make sure we're up to date. And then one of our senior coaches, Diane, she joined us today. Very excited to have her on. She's actually going to take you through her full journey, but we always say behind the scenes, she's been there, done that in every aspect of pharmacy. So she's literally going to take you step by step through her career. But yeah, she's done it all. And I would say the one fun fact that I tell Diane from time to time, but it's true on a daily basis, is that when clients are working with her, I always say within the first and second session, everyone always reports that she's so much fun to work with, just a positive spirit. And obviously her expertise will shine through, but she's just someone that really cares about helping other pharmacists succeed. And then really at the end of the day, a lot of pharmacists feel like it's them. So it's really, we find that it's not you that's broken. It really is the system that's been broken. So you're probably faced with chronic understaffing. More and more we hear there's metrics that are more and more demanding, even though your support is currently shrinking. At the end of the day, you're there to help the patients. You're not necessarily there for all these optimized labor costs. And a lot of pharmacists that we talk with are not aware of what else is out there, like how to design their actual career. They're told, hey, jump into a job, head down and keep after it, but we're really here to help you craft your career. And then burnout, it really is a predictable outcome of the system, but it is not something that we've found to be a personal failure. And so here's a couple of the reasons why a lot of pharmacists do stay stuck. And this could easily apply to you as well, but maybe you're too exhausted to think about a change. Like I was talking about earlier, keep pushing it off. A lot of pharmacists are really unsure of what they're qualified for outside of their current situation. And then the job search that you did 10, 15 years ago for a lot of pharmacists is completely outdated. And there's a huge fear like, hey, I know I want to make a change, but I'm actually not sure if it's the right change or if I'm going to lead into something that's actually not as good for me. And let's see here. So then we're always, again, one of participation. So if you're feeling stuck, really what is the number one reason that you feel stuck right now? So A, is it that you're too exhausted? B, not sure what other roles are out there, what you're actually qualified for? Is it C, your job search strategy feels outdated? D, you're afraid that you'll make that wrong move that I was talking about? Or E, is it something else? And feel free to add in the chat if you would. And then are you seeing anything coming through, Kurt?
Yeah, no, I can't see it actually on my side.
No worries. No worries. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why you might be feeling stuck. And there's literally a huge list that we've built out throughout the last decade, but here's some more of what might be keeping you specifically stuck at where you're at. And first and foremost, a lot of people think, hey, I need to stay where I'm at for at least 5 years. I've actually found that it's really, I need to stay at where I'm at, insert year. Some people think it's 1 year, some people think it's 2 years, some people think five, but that's what keeps them stuck. But honestly, the truth is, it's really more about your positioning and how you present yourself versus how many years that you have. Another reason is my skills don't translate into other settings. Probably the most underrated, like people come into this and they just underrate themselves so much. But for most of you, almost for all of you, your skills really are highly transferable. We get a lot of pharmacists that say, hey, I don't have a residency or a fellowship, therefore I'm auto disqualified. And you'll see out later on, we have literally thousands of examples of pharmacists that have made transitions without that, without a fellowship, without a residency. A lot of pharmacists get hung up on, I need another degree or another certification first. So they stay stuck where they're at and just go into education mode to try and further their path, even though they can shortcut that. Another one is I'm too old to change jobs now. We hear this time and time again. For some of you, it's, hey, I'm facing ageism, but we found that you can really position that as a true strength as you're looking to make a transition. And then probably the most common is I'll have to take a pay cut if I leave my job. Time and time again, everyone thinks they have to take half of what they're making or a 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 pay cut. But we found time and time again that we've actually been able to help people make what they're making, take a step up, or at least have a trajectory to really go way beyond where they're currently at. And so that's just a couple of reasons. I'm going to go ahead, actually pass it over to Kurt. I'll be manning the chat, so feel free to ask questions, but definitely enjoy what Kurt's going to take you through. And then I'll jump on at the end for some of the Q&A that we have. But take it away, Kurt, and yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Mike. Yeah. So there's if you are feeling like you're burnout, you're feeling stuck, there really is like a cost or an expense really for you on you as you stay in this situation. So it's, for many of you, it's going to be another year of weekends, nights, missed holidays, missed family time. Especially we see this all the time where people, it's impacting their overall health, their sleep, mental health. So these are all things that occur, and depending on where you're at, like the company, especially if you're in one of these situations where there's limited, you've really hit that ceiling and there's nowhere else for you to really grow. There's going to be no more promotion paths for you and pay growth. So it's just more of a stagnation. And the other thing is a lot of people think this is just how it has to be. And really, that's not the case at all. And so by the end of this, we hope that you have this renewed optimism and a fresh look in the new year, 2026, of what your career could look like. As Mike was talking about earlier, so we definitely see this all the time, is that there's a real lack of, I don't want to say understanding, but appreciation of your skills and how they can really apply to all different types of roles in pharmacy. Because at the core, you got the problem solving, you got your education, the communication skills, the leadership, managing risk, coordinating care, working across teams daily. So there's all these different attributes that you have. And so at the end of the day, companies, they don't necessarily hire for the skills. They really do hire for the person that you are and the value that you'll bring. And again, you already have those core necessary skills for most roles. When we talk about like better fit roles, we do a lot of surveying around here just to find out which paths, which roles really are more fulfilling. And so this is like a really general kind of high level overview, but we have some more data that we'll release later as a follow-up. But generally speaking, a lot of these could look like there's a lot of different clinical roles with more predictable schedules, so more Monday through Friday day shift schedules, MTM, population health, care management. Within PBM managed care, payer strategy, there's also quite a few different roles as well that all the time come back with very positive marks. And then in pharma, so medical, market access, safety, There's a lot of different options there. And then, of course, a lot of these can be remote-based roles or hybrid positions. And there's really a lot of different options that you can pursue that you will find that a de-stressing, more fulfillment in that particular role. And that's where it comes down to you as an individual. You got a unique background, interests, and things that you're wanting to do in your career. And so not every role is going to be a good fit for you. And so for us, when we're helping people evaluate their path, it's looking at your background, your interests, your lifestyle, income goals, especially is really important to know as well, because these will all help us figure out the options that might be a good fit for you. And really the goal with this is to try to filter it down from overwhelming million options, maybe not a million options, 30 options down to the top 3 or 5 paths. And this is really that core foundation. So we've been talking about this career escape plan. And so this is something that you'll be getting that will, part of that, the plan has some of these different options that we are going to identify for you as potential opportunities. And so for us, so once we look at the actual job search itself, so we've had a couple different models over the years, but so the one that we are working with now is this 3-step framework. And so we just want to keep it simple, because at the end of the day, like, that very first step is the clarity and defining what a better role means for you. What is the actual positions that you're going to be pursuing? And then the strategy, so how you're going to go about actually getting that particular positions, and then the execution, so taking the action. And so now I'm just going to take a closer look at what this looks like in practice. And one of the things that we see all the time is just a lot of times when someone starts their job search, they forget to do this very first step, which is just having some clarity on exactly what they want to do and what kind of roles they want to be targeting. And the downside of that is that if you don't have a focus, you don't have a target, you're just going to be chasing constantly. A new job posting is posted, apply. What we want to do and what's been most effective, like with people that we've worked with over the years, is to really, first things first, before we do anything, even think about your resume, like, we really need to dive into what options, what roles are going to be the best fit for you. And so again, so for us, it's try to get the list down to like top 5. We could definitely go more than that, but figuring out what those options are. So once we have those potential destinations in mind, then we could jump right into that secondary step, which is the strategy. And so what we say is that with the job search, there's the old way of doing things, and then there's definitely a new, modern, and it keeps changing job search. And the applying and hoping for a response is something that we definitely don't want to do. So the modern job search is definitely something that's there's a lot more aspects to that. Looking at, it's going to be networking, it's going to be using a bunch of different tools and resources. But the overall strategy is like thinking of it as of your map of getting to the particular job that you want. So following the protocol, the steps to do all the different things. And so that looks clarifying your values. So how are you going to share those transferable skills that you have, that maybe your career's been in the community side and you really want to get into behavioral health. So how can we convey those transferable skills for that type of a role? And there's definitely a way to do that. And then part of that too also is in the overall strategy is you got to look in the mirror too and see if there really is like some skill gaps that you have. There's a bunch of things that you can do to make up for that. So there are a lot of CEs, free CEs. There, of course, are certifications, but we generally don't suggest those so much. But there's all different types of trainings and things like that. And so again, like, there's definitely a playbook on how to get additional skills. And then the final step is really the execution. And so that is where you actually put forth the energy and the effort in the actual job search. So once you know what you want, you have your strategy, then it's just about putting in the work and the time and energy to do that. So that looks like applying strategically, not just applying to random jobs, apply to the companies that you're really interested in. It's about finding out who the hiring manager is. It's about building a relationship with your network, growing your network, leveraging the network to help you get your foot in the door, as I mentioned. So upskilling too, taking the class, the course, things that we could put on that resume to help you show that you are a really good candidate. And then at the end of the day, it's about repeating the steps and actions that it takes to make that happen. But at the end of the day, if you could really just dial down those three basic steps, that at a super high level is what a good job search looks like. I'm going to get into more details later on that. And then we want to talk a little bit about your resume, because we do a lot of resume reviews. We probably do, I don't know, 10 a day on average, I would say. And this is just some numbers that we put together. But when we were looking at resumes, some of the issues that we see all the time are a lot of times the resumes, they just did 9 out of 10. So majority of the time, it's just like a list of duties and not really results. So not really showing the metrics, your impact. So it doesn't really give you, there's no real value that you're really giving the person that's reviewing your resume. They can't really see how impactful you are. A lot of them, 80%, lack a compelling executive summary or a headline. So that's like that top section here that really at a super high level really explains who you are and it really helps sell you as a candidate. Most of the time we see people that, they don't have that, or it's very generic. And this is very important for us. The other thing is a lot of resumes generally just look the same. For if you're applying for a MTM role or let's say like a clinical pharmacy, whatever it might be, it's like the same resume. Got to make sure that those are all customized for a particular role. So where we've seen the biggest impact in a positive way in terms of applications standing out is, so a really good headline, the headline or kind of this executive summary section really should read like a mini elevator pitch. And so a recruiter is going to look at your resume and about 500 other resumes in a single day, sometimes. And so you want to make it stand out to them. And so they want to be able to read that and then think, hey, this is somebody that can make an impact in my pharmacy. We also like to include impact-driven bullets. So again, what's the numbers? What's the metrics? If someone's not in your pharmacy, they don't know you, they're not going to know how impactful you are. So it's a little bit more work to pull those out, but it definitely goes a long ways. And then making sure that those transferable skills that you do a good job of conveying that. A lot of times we'll see it with people that want to get into pharma. Pharma is a very interesting world because they use words like key opinion leaders, and it's a whole different lexicon, different language that they're using. And so, for instance, in pharma, you really have to rewrite your entire resume and speak in pharma speak, for instance. And the same applies for some different areas of pharmacy as well. But overall, keywords do matter. So making sure that you do have those keywords. AI companies are using these keyword scanning tools because they're just getting so many applicants. And so anyway, so these are some just high level things that we want to look at. And these are things too that we'll be looking for you in that report that we put together for you as well. Awesome. And then on LinkedIn, so LinkedIn really, it's not just an online resume. It's really we say here, your always on networking event. And so there's about a million things that we can say about LinkedIn, but the three biggest things that we would suggest to you today would be, one, really make sure that you put some thought into that headline, because when people see your profile, like that's what they see. They see what it says above your profile picture. So make sure that it says and it's positioning you for, if you're actively looking for a job, it should be positioning you for the kind of roles that you're targeting. The about section, recruiters love to click through and read about you. Put some thought into that as well. And obviously making sure that, again, it's almost like a little elevator pitch as well about yourself. The thing is with this is where we see a lot of opportunity is making sure that using LinkedIn is something that you schedule. So we suggest scheduling time to go on, liking relevant things, especially following all the companies you're interested in, adding connections, commenting on posts. Be thoughtful about that process because it is something that will get you noticed. And then as you're growing out your network, starting organic conversations is something that really goes a long way. So a lot of times you'll see a lot where people are just, depending on your position, strangers will start asking you for things where you don't have that relationship. You just don't want to do that. You do want to build that relationship organically, naturally. You want to add value. And of course, it's okay to ask as well, but always make sure that you do lead with value when it comes to LinkedIn. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Diane. All right, Diane, are you there?
Yeah, got me now, I think.
Gotcha.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Great. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. My name's Diane. It's been introduced, and I've been a pharmacy career coach for 4.5 years. But my journey in pharmacy has led me to a whole bunch of different settings, as well as opportunities to lead, train, interview, hire, those kind of activities. And so I just really enjoy this role as a career coach so I can continue to help give back and help others find an amazing job like I've had the opportunity to do in my career. My career is really started in community retail, like many of us as pharmacists. It led immediately into some leadership positions, regional positions, etc. And again, I really enjoyed that. Got to do some really amazing, innovative things in that space. I also was in the specialty oncology area and translated there, not because I'm good at oncology, but I transferred there because I'm a really good leader and I'm good at operational excellence. And that's what they needed. I had my own team to do the infusions and to do the clinical work. I really learned and grew from translating my skills into that space. At my oncology clinic, I got involved in medication safety just on the committee, and I'm like, what is this? And I just really learned to love it. And so I learned a lot more about it. And my career then took off in the medication safety space, working at a managed care company, actually on the PBM side. So I have some insight into not just the operational side and the care delivery side, but also the PBM side where they're doing formulary management and et cetera. So that was exciting. And in that space, I was able to do my med safety work and also grow some programs around that, including a transition of care program where we kept people out of the hospital by doing med rec post-discharge. So that was really fun as well. Through networking, and I'm not going to minimize the importance of networking, as Kurt mentioned, it is just fantastic. But through networking, I was able to get a consultant position that I did along the way, where I worked with small hospitals and other clinics on improving safety and quality in those spaces. I've worked in academia. I was teaching some classes in various areas, as well as doing some presentations. And I still am involved in that because students have so much energy and they're just sponges and really get benefits of learning about how to get a fulfilling career. So I help with that now as well. My journey took me to the health system where I was part of hospitals and in the medication safety space. I was part of a really large 5-system hospital, one of 4 medication safety coordinators. And then I decided I wanted to be the medication safety director. And through networking, again, found that there was going to be a soon to be retired position for med safety director, that somebody was going to retire soon. And I was luckily given that position where, again, I was able to do some really great things in the areas of safety as well as medication diversion prevention, building a program in that. And through the last couple positions I had, I've also been the career coach, which is just really fun for me as well. As you can see, starting just a little pharmacist with no residency, no fellowship, no additional training, I was able to do a lot of things and translate across the healthcare system, making sure along the way that they met my goals as well as used my strengths. And being authentic to that really helped me move across. Next slide. As I mentioned, I've been part of Pharmacy Career Coach for about 4.5 years, and I continue to learn what works, what doesn't work. And these are some of the things just I pulled out from this last year of things that really help my clients. One of them, and we'll have a couple examples of my clients in a moment, but this first bullet, protecting your time and just not squeezing it in. This is an important thing in your life. And if you want to make a change, just adding another thing to your really already busy life where you're obviously often burned out is just doesn't really work. So saying this is important to me, getting your family support, getting all that, and making sure the time that you carve out time for this is really important. Making sure again that we do something with our strengths. So again, my journey, I was a good leader, operational excellence. That's where that's what I leaned on in order to get a different type of career in a different setting. So figuring out what those are and zooming in, saying, where are these strengths going to be needed in? And again, as Kurt mentioned, and Mike too, that there's a lot of strengths that we have as pharmacists that can translate into other positions and settings. Metrics, outcomes. I see every day, I have conversations every day about when I see a resume about, you didn't tell me anything. You told me that you're good at customer service. You're good at dispensing. But what impact did you make? Where did you really make a difference? How is this memorable and why are you unique? And people are like, I don't know. And then my clients always come up with ideas and they always come up with examples. So we just have to we sometimes have to dig pretty hard to think, okay, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit as pharmacists. We really do make a difference. So having that on your resume, on your LinkedIn, et cetera, is really helpful. And speaking of LinkedIn, it is really mandatory. I hear from hiring managers and hiring HR executives that if your resume makes it through the ATS tracker system, enough keywords, enough skills match, one of the first places the HR people go is to LinkedIn. And that's also the first place I go to when I get a new client and I look at their LinkedIn and I see high school pictures. Yesterday was a wedding picture from 15 years ago. It was a really nice picture, but it was a wedding picture. I've seen full families in that tiny little boxes. Which one are you? That kind of thing. So we've got to have LinkedIn out there and making sure that we use it to the best. And I'll show you some of that example in a moment too, and how it works for others, including myself. And then stretch rules. And stretch rules we can get up. We just have to be patient. We have to be persistent. And we have to practice a lot. And again, I have another example of that coming up in just a moment. So next slide. So on the next 3 slides, I'm going to show you I have lots of favorite clients, but these are 3 really amazing clients I called out because they did have such great success in their job search and their journey. So my friend Lauren here, she was a really great retail pharmacy manager. I could tell she really cared and she was really good at systems and improvements and that kind of thing. And she was a really good leader, but she wanted to branch out. She wanted to help not just that individual patient, she wanted to help more of the population. And she wanted to get out of retail. She also wanted remote. And so I would say the time I've been a career coach, she was able to show her impact almost top rate, one of the best I've been able to see. And so she did a really great job of giving us the information of this is how I made impact. And then our resume team went to work and really made her look great on a resume and her presence out there. The other thing Lauren did is when she joined us, she had 75 LinkedIn connections. Currently, she has over 500. I lost count because she has so many now. And she's a really recent client for me. So she really embraced LinkedIn. When she applied for a job, she then went after to have conversations with people that work there, potentially connecting with the hiring manager and HR people in that space. So she really had some great conversations and used LinkedIn to its max. In the end, Lauren said, Diane, I never thought this was possible. She actually called it a dream role. I talked to her actually a couple of weeks ago, and she's making a huge difference already in her 2 months there or whatnot. But not only did she get the remote that she wanted, but she got better pay, unlimited PTO, and really in alignment with what she really wanted to do and be with her career. Great job, Lauren. Next case. So here's Shane. Shane moved to a new area and worked for retail as a floater, was a pharmacy manager off and on. But he knew this retail floating was just not going to be in the long term for him. And Shane was the guy that said, I need something different and I am ready. I am ready. He was jumped in with two feet. How often can we meet? Let's get my resume done. He just wanted to move and shake. And after, I think he was just like 2 years, maybe, or excuse me, 2 years, 2 months, he found a job. And in that time, he had 3 interviews with 3 different companies and then found this really great job as a market pharmacy manager. The one thing that Shane also came in with was he'd already had the discussions with his family. Dad's going to be at the library on his days off and certain evenings. They made it packed together. So I had zero distractions. So he signed up for a room at the library. And every time we met, he was in the library. There was no phone ringing or children running in the background or pets, which I often have in my coaching calls. And he just really protected that time. So he wanted something to use his analytical experience, to be innovative. He really was a good collaborator and wanted to make a difference in patients. And so he went from, okay, I think this is what I want, to I know this is what I want, to I can show this is what I want. And Shane really, really embraced the process and basically said to me that it was rewarding, that the fruits of our labor over the last few months really came to fruition. So another thing of just sticking your head down and just making sure this is a priority and getting it done. Next slide. My last client that I wanted to highlight today is Chase. Chase was an infusion manager of a infusion center, quite a big one actually, where he did so many awesome things. He had lots of metrics to share, all those kind of things. However, he also, because he just was so committed that he would go in nights, weekends, he'd have to work on weekends as well to make sure that patient got their infusion on time. Sometimes he'd deliver it to their houses. He would just go above and beyond everything to get the job done. But it really was burning him out. And he knew he wanted something different. He was really good at collaboration. He was really good at innovation and really good leader. So he said, Diane, I'm going to stretch on this one. And I wanted him to stretch because I knew he had this. And so he stretched. He says, I don't know what kind of job it's going to be, but I really want to use my innovative spirit, and analytics, my leadership, my collaboration, and I want to make a difference in something. I think strategic, innovative was just really his deal. And Chase and I met for about probably 5 months over the time. And about halfway through, not going to lie, he got discouraged. We'd have a couple of meetings where I could just tell he was just kind of, I don't know if this is ever going to work, but he was doing all the right things. And he used networking, he used all the tools, and he got recognized. And the greatest thing, I think this is probably one of my best success stories as a coach. I get really excited. That's how I showcase how I get joy from my job, is watching my clients get hired. But he was one of 500 plus applicants and he got the job. And he said to me, it was the accountability of meeting on a regular basis and just having somebody in his court, especially when he was discouraged. But the second thing was the ability to say, these are my strengths and I'm going to show you how those are. When I first met with Chase, I asked him what his strengths are, which I do every time. And when I meet with a new client, he couldn't tell me. By the end, I asked him to practice and talk to yourself in the mirror, talk to your wife, talk to a video, do all these things to try to just say, this is who I am and this is why I'm great and I should be hired. And he just phenomenally, if you might imagine, 500 people, and he got the job. So I'm really proud of him.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's so fun. Yeah, like each person, it's like there's this whole journey and this story. And so here's just some of the other clients. I think a lot of these are yours too, Diane. So anyways, yeah, thanks. Thank you for sharing that. So with this presentation, so yeah, again, thank you for showing up. So one of the things, again, so you're going to get we're calling it a 2026 career escape plan. And so it's going to look like this. There's a bunch more pages, but it's going to identify different path. It's going to share steps and actions that you can take to get hired. And to do that, to get your career escape plan, what you need to do is go to this page right here. And Mike, if you don't mind just sending that in the chat. But if you go to this page, you'll have two options. So one is you could just set up a call. So it's just a 15-minute call with Mike or myself or another member on our team. And what we want to do is, again, just get to know you, learn your story, your background, your goals. And so we're going to take that to create this roadmap for you. There's another option too. And so some people just don't have the ability to make calls during business hours. We wanted to make sure that we can get you one of these reports too. On this page, you'll see there's also a way that you can just fill out a questionnaire. And so that's the other option as well. So you got two different options. So a call or this online form questionnaire. And so that's going to be available at this link. And again, so yeah, Mike, I believe, sent it in the chat, and then we'll also email it to you as well. And then for that, we're just saying, just make sure that you do that within the next couple of days so that we can make sure that we get that for you. So the truth is, like with the job search, there's a lot of moving pieces. Diane was talking about with some of her clients, it's hard to find the time to sometimes to actually put forth in the job search. You got kids, you got life, you got other things going on in life. And when we look at the job search, so there's over 160 different actions that you got to take is what we've identified. And this is what we would consider like that modern job search schedule would look like. So every day you're doing something. This is for someone that really wants to be aggressive on their job search. And there's LinkedIn networking, there's finding jobs, there's company research, there's creating your resumes, submitting your applications, the follow-up, the interview prep, the reviewing, tracking, and things like that. But so for each day, there's month one is really focused on the foundation, the clarity, your personal brand. Month two is really focused more on trying to get the applications out there and interviews. And then month three, if all goes well, so you're getting interviews, so focusing more on interview prep, but at the same time, you have to stay consistent with the applications. So this is what we'll give you a copy of this, of course. This will be in your report as well, so you see what that looks like. But there's definitely a lot to it. And the plan that we're going to give you, our hope is that it gives you optimism, clarity, and direction. But we definitely know that at the end of the day, it's the execution that does cause, a lot of people to have a difficult time with their job search. And that's where, as a pharmacy career coach, so obviously Diane she's a senior mentor on our team. So she's amazing. And so this is where she gets to work with you and guide you through this entire journey. So she's been there, done that. I see Laura on this call. She's another one of our amazing mentors as well. So basically the way that we approach this is the very first thing, it's building out your foundation. So the resume, your cover letter, your LinkedIn profile. So this is all your professional branding, like how, the metrics, making sure that the resume and the cover letter and everything else is positioning you in the right possible way. And that's where it's so nice to have a Diane in your corner who's been on the other side of the desk interviewing and hiring, but also has helped all these other pharmacists in all different areas break through and get hired. So she's going to be in your corner guiding you step by step. And then as we get into that secondary phase, one of the things that we do is, so we actually do a lot of this heavy lifting. So we networking, helping you find job opportunities, getting you connected with recruiters and hiring managers, getting you access through these recruiters. So these are all like the things that take up a bunch of time that our team does help you with. And then especially when you do get those interviews, so just like Diane was talking about the importance of like stories, like knowing how to convey like your impact and your value and all these things. So these are the types of things that we work with you on to make sure that when you have that interview that you can convey that and beat out the 500 plus candidates that are applying for the same role as you are. The other thing is that we have a great support team. And so I saw Leanne from our team. She's on this call too. And her team do a really good job too of behind the scenes, just making sure that if you have any questions, we're going to go ahead and get that answered for you. And this is what we do to help you. And what it looks like is, so here's that kind of that 3-month period of time. As you see, so this is where like our team, we essentially do all of this for you. So we're taking care of all these things. Whereas really you just have to submit the applications, but of course you got to meet with your coach, prepare for your interviews and things like that. But the thing that's nice about this is that if you're busy, you don't have the time, it's really nice to use our team where this is all we do to help you get hired into the job that you want. So wanted to definitely go ahead and just share that with you all. And so today we've helped well over 33,000 pharmacists. And on average, we've seen average salary increases of about 15,000. And right now, the average time to the first job offer is about 7.1 weeks. But of course, like that depends on your market and what type of role you're looking for. But on average, that's what we're seeing. And we've been doing this since 2015. I can't believe it, Mike. It's 10 years. Wow. So we've been doing this for a long time. Anyways, the other thing that's nice about the program too, like if you're interested, just let us know and we could talk about it if you set up a call with us, but we do guarantee the results if you go into the program. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Mike.
All right. Quite amazing. And we always ask for questions from the audience. So we always like to pull at least 2 or 3 of these at the end. So today we have 3 questions, and I'm going to lob them up to our senior mentor, Diane. And so from Brian, he was asking, how difficult is it really to transition outside of my current role in retail? What are the best career options for pharmacists, and which skills should I be sharpening now?
Great. Okay, Brian. I get pretty much most of my clients are the retail clients and been very successful getting them out of retail. So if you are able to help us in setting you apart in making you look unique, that's really our role at Pharmacy Career Coach. So you tell me what you've done, we dig deep on what makes you different, and then we go out and try to find it. So it's not difficult. In general, we've been doing it now. If you come and you have a lot of restrictions, like you can only do this and that, you have a lot of boundaries that you put up, it makes it harder, but it's not unreasonable. As far as the career options for pharmacists, I've had pharmacists get in almost every area. I had one get in industry. I've had one get in behavioral health. I've had one get in clinical, hospital. You just saw the examples that infusion, long-term care, there are so many options out there for retail pharmacists. Again, we just need to highlight what makes you unique. As far as the skills you should be sharpening, I don't actually recommend that we just go and you go get your MBA or anything before you start with Career Coach and you start looking for jobs, because there might be something that we just need to sharpen up on your story versus actually spending that extra time getting those degrees or whatnot before you actually jump out and do that. Can that be part of your story as you move forward? Absolutely, but it's not mandatory before you get going on your career search.
Excellent. And just to add a little to that, so we also have a guide on our website. So if you go to pharmacycareercoach.com, we have a guide that has 75 plus different options. And there's so many pharmacists out there, they're blown away by what else is out there, what might be an option. So yeah, you mentioned a ton of great options, and just it feels like we've hit everything under the sun at this point. But yeah, there's a free guide on our website as well. Excellent. So then for Alicia S., she might be on here, she might not, but what jobs do you find are the most desirable for burnt out pharmacists? Better hours, good pay, realistic to get into without starting from scratch.
It's for me too, right?
Yeah.
So desirable for burned out pharmacists. Okay, so anything that matches your strengths and your skill set. As I mentioned a little bit, when I first started out with my clients, I think Laura does this too. We really talk about where you're at today. What do you want your life to look like in a year? And where does the career piece fit in? And you say, okay, this is important to me. This is what I want. And then what attributes of this work-life piece really fit into that as well? So I think any job that can capitalize on your strengths and also what's important to you is going to be the most desirable. If you want something where the culture is closer to what, if your values and your culture don't quite match, the culture of the company don't match, that won't be good for you. And I've been there, so you just can make a change at that point. But really, you want to figure out what's important, how you can use your strengths to the max. And then with that clarity piece, I think you're going to get to where you want and not have that burnout long term. I had a client, here's a quick story. I had a client last week. She's just got so many great skills. She's really in the hospital clinical space. And right away in her neighborhood, right down the street, there was a new job. And she, of course, there was 2 jobs there. And she, of course, got interviewed right away, the interview right away, because she had that. And she actually called me a few days later. We debriefed on the interview. And then she says, you know what, though, Diane, although it's just right down my alley, I think it's the people really nice, but I'm going to be in the same spot I was in my other job, because I think it would have been too much multitasking, too much this, too much similar. I need to do something different. And that's what I encourage my clients to really be authentic. Don't do something that get back into that same spinning wheel. Just find something that really connects with you and you'll be not burnt out like you are today.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. And then the last question for you, Diane, is from Oksana K. If I haven't done a residency or fellowship, what doors are still open to me and how do I compete with people who have?
Yeah, again, I think it's that authenticity piece and being authentic to what skills you have and which translatable pieces are there. I've had discussions like this a lot. I get either I don't have a residency or fellowship. But there's still some of us, including myself, that don't have a PharmD. I also have ones that have just really limited experience or as well. But there's many doors open to you, I will say. One of the things with this, however, is we have to be realistic. And that's, again, my role as your coach to say, if you want to go to where I used to work at an oncology specialty clinic, if you want to be that pharmacist that does the roundings with the doctors and is right there and doing all the dosing for the drugs and that kind of thing for oncology, you could do it. But maybe your chances of doing that, and there might be other people that are going to want that have done that residency or that. So if we go after jobs that have those translatable skills and keep those close, there's lots of doors open for you.
Excellent. Excellent. That's perfect. And yeah, so we're getting towards the end here, and we really just want to invite everyone to take the step of syncing up with our team. I put the link in the chat. It is enabled at this point, but pharmacycareercoach.com/plan. And yeah, you have a couple options. You can set up a call directly with our team. You can go ahead and fill out the short online form. I actually see a lot of people have already signed up for it, so that's great. And we do look forward to talking with you. But almost 2-3 months ago is when we start hearing a lot of pharmacists say, 2026 is my year. It's time to do this. It's time to make a change. And then November goes by, December. So we're really right in the thick of, hey, I need to actually do something about this. And I would say, as you can hear from Diane, like one of the very best parts of our job, of our side of it, is seeing pharmacists make that choice to really take on the job search and move on with their career. I would almost say on the flip side of that, we see like one of the worst parts of our job is people that want to change, say they're going to change, and then really don't take the action that's necessary to make that happen. So if you're even on the fence of, hey, I think I want to make a change, or hey, this is my year, like whatever level of motivation you have, let's sync up pharmacycareercoach.com/plan. And we'd love to talk with you further. I think you saw quite a few of our success stories and people we've had the opportunity to work with, but ultimately we want to get to know you specifically, talk about what you're going through. And as you see through all of these examples, it really is you specifically in your situation looking for a career and not just another job. So can't tell you enough like how exciting it is to think about, but then also much more exciting once you've jumped in, taken action, and really taken on this job search. And yeah, can't thank you enough for joining us on a Monday night here. as we're taking on the end of the year. And then, Kurt, I don't know if there's anything else that you're thinking, but yeah, it's great to have everyone here.
No, just, yeah, thanks for, yeah, we know you're very, very busy. It's Monday. So yeah, we just appreciate you spend some time with us. Hope you got some value, but yeah, definitely make sure you do get the report. We think you're gonna get a lot of value out of that. And yeah, so again, yeah, just thank you. Thank you, Diane, for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Hope everyone has a great night here.
Have a great night. Thanks.